Well, there's an awful lot going on at Galleywood Church to celebrate the 150 years anniversary. And of course, I have my talk and demonstration too. This tower and spire is in excess of 130 feet tall. There's an awful lot of restoration required on a structure of that size after 150 years. Well, I mean, this is a typical example of what you get. Flaking of the corner pieces there, that you just touch them and they flake away. The sandstone, all needs restoration. This north side windows and of course the roof area, as you can see, slates are missing, tiles are missing, so that needs considerable restoration. Well, hi everyone, here I am in Galleywood this evening, and I'm giving a demonstration in aid of the Church Restoration Fund. So I'm just waiting for people to arrive. I think we've got a lot of coming, so I'm going to have 5 minutes break before we start. Well, this is my setup. We've got my board, we've got the screen. Right. Thanks, Sue. Let me know if it stops again, please. Lovely. Right. And I'm putting a bit of, this is not red, but it's brown, which, you know, is in the red family, as it were. There we go. So, I think basically that really is the first start of this painting. So I've built up a very light background. I've created a depth in the centre that's all blurred. It will sit back nicely. Either side you can see there's trees, but they're not defined because that will give light coming towards me. Okay. Now we're going to look at trees that are in the middle distance, not really the ones in the foreground. One's in the middle distance, and for that I'm going to use a green, but it's not going to be too brilliant, and it's going to be a little bit on the weaker side. Where do we have that? Right, don't be too dark with this, just a little bit more yellowy perhaps, a little bit more looser than that. There we go, that's better, there we are. So these are trees that are a little nearer. Just pick up the outside edges. I'm painting, notice how I'm painting over the trees that are in the foreground. Purely because those trees will be so much darker than anything I put in the distance. A bit more blue, a bit more yellow, just to be a little darker in the lower area, and at the same time I'm going to do that side as well. Hopefully that's a good move, but we will know later on. And then, because that's darker than that, I can paint back in and allow spiky grasses to actually stand up into, so it's creating an edge of the foreground to the middle distance. There we go. And same there, because it's a little darker. What I'm going to do, I'm going to dry the brush and just scratch it on the paper. Touch of Bob Ross there, look at that. So that really is the middle distance. So you've got the very distance, the middle distance, and the foreground. too difficult there, is there? You know, it's pretty much easier, you know. Right, where do we go from here? Because I'm nearly done. Oh no, half an hour, okay? Right, trees. Let's get that small one in. I'm going to still use this brush because it points well. Now, there will be one tree that dominates the rest. So you call that your focal point. You've got to have one. If you've got two trees together, or three or four, you want one tree that dominates, and the rest of them get less and less attractive to the eye, if you like. So the dominant one needs to have a rich colour. But as you get to the less dominant ones, you can put more blues in those to make it, you know, less attractive, really. So, what I'm going to do, are we still filming? Brilliant. Right, I'm going to put in that one first. Burnt sienna and wings of blue. Ooh. Is that, yeah, that's a dark. It's got to be dark because it is in more or less in silhouette. And we paint trees quite simply, really. And we don't necessarily follow the pencil line, but we can do, but I don't. I'll use a rigger later on, a smaller brush. But let's get the larger branches in first. Just going to watch these branches don't impede in anything that's, you know, I don't want to get too far over that distance. Okay, now this one is a less important one. In actual fact, this one I'm putting a bit more blue with. Okay, and just a bit more water. I want that to be a little lighter, but less prominent. And this one is a funny old tree. Some of you may remember that, or at least when you go walking tomorrow, you'll see, that's Colin's funny old tree. Look, there it is. I would imagine it looks as if there's a bit broken there. Sometimes those sort of things don't work, and I end up. But I think that's fine. And it's gone in, lucky enough, lucky for me anyway. It's gone into that area still damp, so it's soft and it's hard edge there because that distance is still a little damp. Suits me, more or less what I wanted, really. Now, this tree is going to dominate. So, I'm going to use Prussian blue, and I'm going to use a red. I'm using Indian red for this, and you will notice that, do we want light on this? Oh, why not? I'm going light to start with. Oh, a blue tree, look at that. We don't want a blue tree. We'll improve on that shortly. And that sits nicely there. Right, now we're going to give it some real punch. Plenty of red. Dropping in that side, like that. And it goes up like that, and it snakes out of the picture. It splits there, and branches tend to appear, they tend to have a nice taper on them. So that one really punches, and that really is what I'm looking for. You can always make the trunk wider, but you can't narrow it after you've got the width. So create, if you do paint, create narrow trunks to start with, and then widen them afterwards. Because once they're too wide, never quite works. You can never get it back. Just a small branch there. This is a larger branch there. That's a larger branch too. Good. And the other really dark area, I know I said one, but I'm actually putting in another one here because that's immediately, it's overhanging from the tree and the picture. And we'll deal with that shortly. Good. Right, now I'm going to put in some smaller branches, but I want leafing as well. But let's put in one or two smaller branches to start. Now I'm darkening up the left-hand side of this one, but it won't dominate the same as that. Got to remember that we've got a rounded shape to these trees, so I like the way I soften. That's really looking really good. That's it. Now I'm putting in smaller branches, maybe a branch that hangs out there. There we are. And immediately you begin to, it's gone a bit wet there. Because that's wide, I'm going to have to widen this. And then press hard and lift up. And that goes up. Oh, it could be a bit of ivy. There you go. Look at that. That's amazing. I was going to do that anyway. I don't want to put too many in because I've got some branches to put some thingy areas, some leafing areas to put in. There we go. That's pretty much, yeah, that's okay. That's pretty good. And we have some more branches just coming across from out of the picture. And where's that one going? Oh, it's coming from there. There you go. And then we have them snaking down. This one across like that. At the moment it looks like a winter scene really, because we've got no leafing on. But we can improve on that by putting leafing on. Now the leafing in the foreground will actually be quite dark. Don't be too light with this. And how do we do leafing? Well, I could use the pointer brush, but I don't want to show individual leaf shapes, right? So what I'm going to do, it's a damp brush, but it's not loaded with paint. And what have we got? We've got branches hanging like that. And that branch crosses that trunk. Then goes out to the outer edge, like that. And then it comes across there like that. And what else have we got? We may have, there we go. There's a bit of, and that crosses that, and because it's wet, it's lifted some off. So it looks as if that branch stands in front. When you paint your trees, don't just paint the trunk and branches and put your leafing all around the outside, because it looks flat. Some of the leafing will be in front of the trunk. And because that's gone all haywire now, I'm going to paint that as well. So there you go. Look, that area there is covered with a branch. Amazing what you can do when things sort of go a bit pear-shaped, isn't it? You know. Right, I'm adding a bit more yellow now, just for the sake of it. Well, let's put a bit more yellow on the outside edges of that. Yeah. Oh, what about that? That needs a bit of. Don't solid, too many solid areas. The times I've gone in too dark with some areas. There we go. Right, now this area needs to be really, really dark. So I'm going Prussian blue again. So it's not dissimilar to the trunk. It'll be a little bit darker there, because that will help to give the impression of the light coming across or from that back edge. There we go, and then just pull that down like that. You know, in actual fact, if you look at it closer, they're just blobs of paint. But when you stand back, you think, your brain tells you that they're actually, they do look like clumps of leafing. Well, hopefully. And then there is some from the lower branches here, hang down like that. There we go for time. Ah, that's right. And then there's some there from that tree. So I'm going to put them all in fairly dark. Oh, there's a clump there that spreads across there like that. There we go. Goes up and across like that. Yeah, that's okay. Good. Now, there's just some areas a bit less intense perhaps here. Just pull those across like that. Good. Well, we haven't got too much more to do really. Now, shadows. Before we look at shadows, let me improve on these grass areas. I don't want to do too much there because it's a little further away, but it was nice to have some grasses standing up in the shadow underneath the trees. And that can go up like that because, you've got to remember, this is a woodland scene with dappled light. I'm just going to bring a little bit of shadow up to there. There we go. See how that gives it something to sit on? It gives it a feel, it gives you a feeling of placing it into the ground. There you go with that. And of course there probably would be shadow then running up there. And two little touches there. You know, it's one of those things that once you find a technique, you can start using it everywhere, right? And then you spoil it. So once you find that the grasses work, just put a little bit on and then come away from it. Because the times I've put the grasses in, and then before I know it, I put too many in, and it's actually spoiled the whole thing. And also you can paint back in to areas to create shapes, like that. And then of course, right in the foreground, you could have some dark grasses standing up, like that. And just use the point of the brush. Maybe one or two little touches here. But as with the other painting, these foreground shadows are always very useful to help to, well, there you go, look, some little darker touches. Two little darker touches there. Just map out that edging along the two little touches here and there, not too much. I always remember an artist saying to me, you need interesting areas and you need peaceful areas. If it's all interesting, then there's nothing to look at. You know, the eye. So we have soft areas, interesting, then another soft, then another interesting area. Basically, that's how it works, really. And now I've got to link up some form of shadow work, really. And the shadows, what am I going to use for shadows? Well, I'm still going with that strong blue. Actually, I'm going to use the same shadow as I did before with Prussian blue and alizarin crimson. Now, I'm going to sweep that into the foreground because that is quite dark, like that, and that then, in many ways, links those up. And then you have dappled light, like that runs up the bank and in amongst the bank area. It runs up that area like it runs up into that area, so that links it all together. But there's gaps where the branches allow the light to come through. Right, then of course we have that one that spreads across. But in between that, there will be little bits of dappled light from branches. And then of course under there and a little bit there. We have to, you know, when you paint, you have to really be careful what you show and what you don't, and how much you put in, because it's so easy to put too much in. A bit of overhanging there, a little bit of overhanging there, a little bit of overhanging there. Oh, and that, of course, would be. And as you can see, that dominates, and these tend to sit back just a little bit more. I'm going to put some of this shadow area in to a little bit of this leafing, just to give the impression that, oh, what about, look at that. Oh. There we go. Look at that. Smudge it out. There you go. I'm going to go one tone darker down the edge of this tree. Probably won't make a big difference, but just gives a, particularly in the lower area, just a little bit of dapple. I don't want too much at the top. A little bit there. That's good. Perhaps a little bit along the back edge of that, but I don't want that to dominate. There we go. Look at that. Use your finger if a brush won't work, use your finger. There you go. Touches there. One or two really dark areas just to punctuate the landscape. Just to try and get there we are. To really, the darker you go next to the light areas, the lighter the light areas actually look. There we are, some more grasses. Now, I'll tell you what, we're not far out. We're not far off. And two little more touches. Allow that to come down like that. Two little touches there. Pull that in. Didn't like the look of that. That's better. There we are. Good. And as always, at the end of a painting, just blend that in a touch, we need to take that surrounding away to see what we've done basically. So there again, we peel this off like that, taking that away from the painting. Just pin that down like that. It's hard to get the table we used to paint a picture. And there you have it. Galleywood painting in the spring. Brilliant. Now, I've just got to sign this one up. I always say to people, even if you're an amateur and you just like painting, always sign all of your work, because one day, it could be worth millions of, or it could be. There you go. So there you have it. Yeah, basically that's it. Let's just soften that Okay, let's just leave it alone. So that is part of Galleywood Common looking out towards the Margaretton Road. Well, I'm going to put that into a mount, and I'm going to ask David just to come up. And what I'm going to do, because I want to be, I'd like to donate these paintings to the church. So I'm going to put them in a mount. I'm going to start off with the other painting and this one, and just donate them to the church, and more or less auction them off. You know, whatever. You know, whether it's £5, £10, whatever it makes, then that is given to the church fund as well. Okay, thank you all very much.
Scared to touch it in case I slip.
Yeah, so
Well, it was mesmerising. I was sat there watching, like the God was an amazing demonstration, really. So we've seen the page come to life tonight. That's been really fantastic, and twice as well. So quick, it was amazing. Thank you very much, Colin, for doing that for us. And for all your support for St Michael's Church over the years, and especially now. It's been wonderful to hear you tonight in a wonderful, engaging manner, and showing us your wonderful portraits there. It's an amazing skill to have. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Should we give Colin a huge round of applause? Well, so thank you especially to our who's done loads of organisation for tonight and on the door and all sorts, including resting with the technology as well. So thank you, and a huge thank you for your work tonight. And to thank Peggy as well for doing the drinks and the cheese and things for us. Thank you, Peggy, very much. And Linda, for your support as well. Thank you. And last but not least, the bell ringers for the wonderful soundtrack during the film.
I couldn't have done it without you.
And thank you all for coming tonight and being part of our celebrations, also part of our fundraising. Shall we auction the paintings now, Colin?
Yes, yeah, if you wish. Yeah. I mean,
Great.
does anyone want to offer anything? You know, anything.
20.
For
That one.
this one, okay.
30.
30. Any more?
40.
40.
40. 50.
50. You're going well.
Going very well.
And you advance on 50.
That's it. I think we'll call that closed.
Thank you.
One card.
Thank you very much.
That's yours. Another one for Colin's Corner.
That's it.
And this one.
And the second one now, so would someone like to open the bidding for the second? 40 mini trailers. 40 trailers. 50. Thank you very much. 60. 60. Ooh, wonderful. You got it. Any advance on 100?
That's yours, sir. Take it to
That's a very special thing, a very precious thing as well. If you Colin and Matthew, that's wonderful, thank you. And also Colin's painters. I went to see St Michael's Church and we have this on postcards.
for your demonstration.
Postcards at the back. Yeah. These are £6 a packet. Please do buy some of these from the back of the church there. Thank you, Colin, for this as well.
Okay,
So
no
that's
problems. Yeah.
a wonderful winter scene at the church there, really nice.
Brilliant. Well, I'd just like to say thank you to all of you for attending and supporting this great fundraising evening, really. And also for Anne, I mean, she has been working behind the scenes. It's sometimes coming up to me a little bit stressful, but I've tried to calm down because, and of course all her helpers and those behind the scenes that we don't see, that get involved with the church. So I'd like to give them a round of applause. Well, we may see you again another time. And by the way, I do have a YouTube channel, so I just thought I'd put it out there. So all you've got to do is search Colin Steed Artist, and you'll get sick of seeing me, honestly. Thank you all very much.